Hello again, this is Maxim, and in this lesson, we're going to discuss resources. So, part of my traps, my talents, my resources, my abilities, my passions that lead me to becoming the solution to a need or the salvation of a soul, even if that soul is a family, a nation, or the world. That's what we're here to discuss today. This part of the lesson, lesson two in the series, is about resources. Resources can be found in three different categories. There are what we call tangible assets or tangible resources, intangible resources, and social resources. So let's dive right in and let's talk about the tangible resources. So, a tangible resource is just what it sounds anything that you can touch, feel, see, manipulate, work with, utilize. Those are tangible resources. They can be as obscure as tools that you use in making calculations, such as a calculator, or as large as land, and buildings, and properties that you own or have access to, or that you can control. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to own them. It means that you have access to them and can utilize them to become your unique you. So, what are some of the categories of tangible resources? We just mentioned some. So real estate, definitely a tangible resource. What about money? Yes, money is a tangible resource. What about the employment resources that you have? Yes. So if you have an office to work from, you have a work desk, or you have a cell phone, or you have a laptop, those are all tangible resources. What about resources such as pieces of art or resources such as automobiles? Those are all resources. You have a bicycle? That's a resource too. You have a front lawn or a back lawn? That's a resource as well. Those are all tangible resources. Do you live in an apartment? Is there a room in the apartment that can be used as an office? That's a tangible resource. Is there a way that you can rent out that room to create additional revenues? That too can be a tangible resource. So, what can we limit as not being tangible resources? Uh, what we call intangible resources. So, what are intangible resources? These are things that exist digitally, for example. Digital pieces of art, they're not tangible. You can't transport them physically, but they're yours, they exist, and they have a value. Copyrights that you own or control, literary works that you own or control, digital assets that you own or control, including cryptocurrencies. These are things that are digital. You can't touch them yet. They have value, they are real. Also, this could include recordings, um, videos, things that can be streamed, or things that can create value. These are all intangible assets. You can't get in them and drive them away. You can't move them around, and yet they exist, and they exist for your benefit. They are just as valuable in some cases, if not more valuable, than some of your physical assets. Let's talk about the social assets, right? These are things like goodwill, meaning you have a great reputation, you have credit, people are willing to give you money, lend you money based upon your name, your reputation. So if you have a great credit rating, yeah, that is a social asset because that is used for you to work in and with banking systems, lenders, private lenders, and things to get things done that you may need to get done. Included in this category, by the way, are your social feeds, such as your LinkedIn account, your TikTok account, your uh, Facebook account, the number of followers you have, the number of people you can influence by the way that you live your life. That also can create revenues for you, streams of revenues, ongoing revenues. Everything that is socialized can also be an asset to you. That would even include your ability to communicate, your voice. Yes, that's not a tangible thing. That may not even be an intangible thing, but your voice carries weight. It influences people. It can be used as an asset. Also, in your social asset, keep this in mind, your family. Your family is one of the greatest social assets that you have. Your church can be a social asset. Your community, your government, all of these are social assets to you. The fact that you come from a great nation and that you're here, part of a great nation, those too can be social assets. The fact that you can speak multiple languages and communicate with people in multiple continents, multiple nations, that can be part of your social assets. So when you sit down and you begin to write down your resources, here's what I would like to see you do. Take a piece of paper and at the top write out resources. On that page, write out every physical resource or physical or tangible resource that you have. Everything around you that has any value at all. It could be your laptop, it could be your smartwatch or your smartphone. Anything around you, the space that you have on the walls of your home, right? All of those things, the pans that you cook with, all of these things are tangible resources. They're real. You can touch them, you can use them, you can make things with them. Those are tangible resources. Write down everything that you have. Now, admittedly, this is going to be a very long list. The clothes in your closet, you don't have to list every piece of clothes. You don't have to list every tool that you own, but just say tools, right? Just say clothing in my closet, especially the clothing you don't wear, right? You can monetize those and use that money to fuel your passion. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, write down all of your tangible resources. Then, if necessary, take a second piece of paper, write out resources at the top, and write intangible resources. And this would include every bank account you own. Now, caution, don't write down the account numbers, just the fact that you have that account or that investment account. Don't write down how much you have in there. That's just between you, right? Just write down that you have it as a resource. And if you happen to know the banker or the investment advisor personally, write their name next to it because these people are part of your social resources. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But write down all of your intangible resources. If you have authored a book or if you have written a song, maybe it's not even published yet, write it down. These are part of you, your uniqueness, and these are part of your intangible resources, intangible assets, right? Then, thirdly, I want you, if necessary, to take a third piece of paper and write down resources and write down social resources. Write down your social accounts that you connect with and that you associate with, right? How many followers you have. You can write that down, surely. And you can write down the value of what these mean to you personally. Write down the relationships you have, family relationships that you value. Write down people that you know, right? That you can pick up the phone and call and talk to, who will encourage you and maybe even financially support you. But you have to write it down. There's a reason I'm asking you to write it down. Then, fourthly, take another piece of paper, write down resources. And on this piece of paper, I want you to write down also social resources. But in this category, this would be all the organizations that you have access to. This could be your fraternal organizations or sororities. This could be the alumni of the university or even the high school that you graduated from. This could be the social club that you're a part of, the bikers that you socialize with, right? This could be the cooking society that you're a part of, or the Mensa group that you're a part of. Any social resource that you have or group of people that you have, write it down. This can also include government resources, such as a small business administration or your local chamber of commerce, any place that you can go to for advice or for counseling. This could be your Boy Scout or your Girl Scout society. It can be any number or group of people that you have influence with or who have influenced you. Take care, write it down, think it out. This is going to be a long list. You're going to find out that you know more people than you thought. The average person has 200 to 400 contacts in their phone. Right. I don't know how many you have, but it's more than you think. I don't need you to write down every name and every number. Just know that they're there and know that they are a resource to you, for you to become your unique self and for you to reach your unique purpose in life, to fulfill your destiny. And again, thank you. Hello again, Maxim here. In this lesson, we're going to talk about your abilities. So, brief recap. Everyone has a unique set of what we call traps, talents, resources, abilities, and passions that lead them to becoming the solution to a need or the salvation of a soul, even if that soul is an individual, a family, a community, a nation, or the world. So, this is lesson number 3 of 4 on this subject. We're going to talk about what is an ability and how do abilities differ from talents. Interesting. So let's get started. An ability is a learned response to your environment that allows you to operate, to do, to exist within that environment. That's our definition of an ability. So, an ability is learned. That's the key phrase there. It is learned. Different from a talent, which is innate, meaning you're good at the talent, you just don't know how you got to be so good. And the talent is confirmed by other people who say, yeah, she or he, they're great at doing whatever it is they're good at doing. The ability, though, is something that you have to study to be good at. You have to go to school for. You have to go to training for. There are 3 categories of learning. One is formal education. That means that you went to school somewhere. You got a book or you got video training or some type of formal education that allows you to be good at something that you're interested in. Hopefully you're interested in, right? There's some subjects in college that you just had to take. They were mandatory, compulsory, but didn't want to, but you know you needed that grade, and so you buckled down and you studied hard to get a good grade. You wanted to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed in the future. So that ability to do whatever it is that they were teaching you to do is a learned response to your environment. That is different than an ability that is learned in an informal setting, right? Informal meaning you didn't go necessarily to a college or a vocational school. Maybe your parents taught you how to do certain things, and you grew up learning how to do those things. This could include everything from learning how to drive a car. Hmm. Used to be that they had a class called driver's ed. Some schools still may offer that, but many don't. And so you maybe relied on your parents to teach you how to drive, or maybe a good friend took you out, or a relative took you out in their car and they taught you how to drive. So the informal training is just as valuable in many cases as the formal training or formal education. The informal training teaches you everything from how to cook to how to clean your environment to how to be a good person to how to communicate, how to be respectful, and how to be impactful. This informal education is probably just as valuable as the formal education. I'll give you one example. Many physicians are trained to do the medical part of their job, but not everyone is good at the social part, the soft skills of talking to people in a way that involves them in the decisions that are being made about their lives. This takes not just formal training, but it also takes informal training, the coaching of their peers, the coaching of their supervisors, the coaching even of some of their patients to be good at what we call bedside manners. There's a third form of education, and that is strictly environmental. That means that you are placed in a situation where you have to adapt and you have to learn in order to survive. There may be a job where there is no formal training, and your education did not prepare you to do that job, but they threw you in there anyway, and you had to figure it out. You observed things, you learned things by observation and by doing. And therefore, your environment was a great teacher to you. Your adaptation to that environment taught you many, many useful skills. An ability is something that you learn. Now, how do abilities and talents work together? Some people have great musical ability, and this is just one example. They are great musicians, but they've had no formal training. They know no music theory. And so while they can play well or conduct well or sing well or even write music, they lack the formal structure of the education process and therefore the discipline necessary for them to be great at what they do. Why? Because they did not have a teacher, a mentor, an instructor. And so an ability doesn't necessarily mean that you are bad at what you do. You may be excellent at it, but it does mean that it may also be a talent for you. So a talent, remember, is an innate ability to do something well versus an ability is something that you've learned. So what if you combined the two of them into something masterful? Not only are you good at it, but you understand it equally, if not better than most. That is the ultimate form of advancement in terms of your human ability to use both talents and abilities to move your purpose in life ahead. So, abilities, you can learn something new. Every day you can. You can learn it through reading, you can learn it through videos like this, you can learn it through observation, There are many ways that you can learn different abilities that will help you in life. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have a talent at it. But if you work very hard, if you work very diligently at it, you can be good at it. Some people I'm quite envious of because, well, they speak multiple languages and it seems as though they do it effortlessly. Their environmental or their formal teaching, whichever method they use to learn those languages, uh, helped them and compelled them to be able to communicate with different people, different cultures on different levels. I struggle with foreign languages. I have to do it over and over and over again, repetitively, just to get it. But yet, I'm starting to learn. It becomes an ability. So I encourage you, take a piece of paper. At the top of that paper, write the word abilities. Underline that word. On that paper, begin to list the things that you have learned. Languages, perhaps, that you've learned, recipes that you've learned, how to drive, how to use a computer, how to use an iPhone. How about that? How to use tools, how to do certain tasks, how to build a network or a robot, how to do a surgical procedure, how to provide aid. Many, many different things you have learned over your lifetime since you were a child. Write them all down. Think about them. What do I know how to do that I have learned to do or have had formal or informal training on? And when you compile that list, we're going to show you how to use it to empower your destiny. Again, thank you for watching.